You look for an IFR clearance all the way into the airport, is that correct?
I'm Jason Miller, a full-time professional flight instructor. On the Finer Points channel, you can join me as I bring you tips and tricks that I've learned from 20 years on the flight line. Hello aviators, welcome back to the Finer Points. Well you guys, I am proud to say that yesterday my instrument student Joe passed his check ride. We've been following along with Joe. All those videos are up on Patreon, by the way, but we've been following his progress through training and there's tons of great learning in there. In this video, I'm going to show you our last flight together, and I knew on our last flight that Joe was ready. I was happy to sign him off, and here are some of the reasons that I knew he was ready. And I'm not talking about being able to fly to ACS tolerances. Of course he could do that. I mean ready to go present what he knew to an examiner. I mean, consider all of the following things. When I sat down in the airplane, Joe gave me a passenger briefing.
Okay, so know how to open your doors, know how to work your seatbelt. I do.
He got fully organized and ahead of himself before we started moving, and when we did, he asked me if I wanted to check my brakes.
Check your brakes, please.
That's the 916 Kilo Tango. Oracle departure to Oakland. Coyote Hills.
Brakes work, your controls. My controls.
Okay, once he got his taxi clearance, he reviewed the taxi diagram to make sure there were no hot spots and briefed me on the taxi route. All of this unsolicited.
Approaching the San Mateo Bridge, 1600, a heavy Boeing 780
convoy. I'm going to take Mike all the way down to 30 run up. There are no hot spots.
During the taxi, you can see that Joe's positioning the flight controls for the effects of wind. Again, I didn't have to remind him. And he's also doing his taxi turns, speaking out loud, and announcing when they're complete.
Taxi check.
Into it.
Turn coordinator, heading. Compass.
Bay Flight 42, traffic model, half final Cessna, runway 30, clear for takeoff, and the Cherokee head is in a reckless traffic pattern. Follow them.
Attitude, taxi check complete.
When we got to the run-up area, Joe did cigars and then backed it up with a written checklist, so he's fully redundant. He got all the radios set ahead of the airplane and gave me a pre-takeoff briefing.
Okay, takeoff briefing. We'll be departing runway 30, making left crossing departure towards Hillsdale.
Now Bay Flight 42, runway 30, taxi to Kilo.
And then basically making the left towards
Bay Flight 42,
Sabin.
contact ground point 6.
Or actually it'll be Woodside VOR from there. Basically I've got to stay below, since we're going to be VFR until we get our clearance. Stay below, actually just below 3,000 and then 4,000. So we're actually cool, we're not even going to get that high, I don't think. I'll climb to 3,000. And I'll contact NorCal on my way up and go from there.
Okay, all of this stuff, if I'm the examiner, I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, man, you know, this guy came ready to play. Like, he looks sharp. And you want to start to win that battle early. I mean, let's face it, the examiner has a tough job. They have to figure out in a short period of time who you are, how you fly, and if you're safe to be released out into the system. So the whole time they're assessing you. And, you know, if you can win the battle in little ways early on, show up with your documents complete, know the ACS oral section really well, get through all of that stuff fast, then get in the airplane and present like this, like you are, you know, doing all of these standard procedures, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with, are taught in our ground school app. You can learn all of these with your free 3-day trial. But Joe's looking great. And after takeoff, in flight, he was staying in front of the airplane and holding his checklist up so that he could see the flight instruments behind. All of these things are telling me this guy's, you know, looking sharp and ready to go. There was one thing that came up that was very important on this flight, and not enough to hold the sign off, but something that I think we should all remember. And that is, one of the things that's hard on an instrument check ride is managing the environment. You know, the examiner will tell you what you're going to do that day, what to expect, and then it's your job to sort of work it out. And often you're in two worlds. You're in a simulated IFR environment, and you've got VFR traffic and VFR flight following to worry about. So it's kind of a lot, and it's something that I want my applicants to be ready for when they go for the check ride. So I had told Joe what the plan was, just like that on the ground, and on this particular day we had low overcast at Half Moon Bay. We had filed a flight plan, and I had told Joe he's expected to get the clearance in flight. So here we are flying along, and he's taking his time, which is great because that's the best tool you have on an instrument check ride: slow down and buy time. So we're headed out, about 180, we're headed on a southerly heading. just going toward higher terrain, and I'm wondering if he remembers his clearance, and I'm asking him for a climb because we're going into higher terrain. And eventually ATC kind of figures out the same thing, like, hey, where's this guy going, and contacts Joe. So here's what happened.
Hey, Flight 31, say intentions?
We'd like to fly out to Sapit to begin the approach there and do the practice 330 GPS.
Hey, Flight 31, roger. Are you looking for a clearance, or are you just going to south navigate all the way?
We're looking for a clearance. I believe it's overcast at 400 right now.
Bay Flight 31, roger. You're looking for an IFR clearance all the way into the airport, is that correct?
Affirmative, Bay Flight 31.
Okay, so that's a really important distinction, the difference between a practice instrument approach and an instrument clearance to an airport.
Bay Flight 31, roger. Flying 160 vector for Sapit, expect direct Sapit in about 5 miles. You are cleared to Half Moon Bay Airport via radar vectors. Maintain 5,000, maintain 5,000.
In an IFR world, you have to get cleared to a destination, and then somewhere along the way you'll get cleared for the approach to that destination. Those are two different things, and this was a good reminder for Joe. And I think the big tip here is anytime you're flying along, the one thing that's going to bail you out, if you're headed on an instrument check ride or you're just going on an instrument flight, the saving grace, the thing you have that will save you, if nothing else will, is knowing what you're going to do a minute in front of the airplane. What is the next event? So as Joe's flying south here, he should be thinking to himself, what is next? What am I doing next? Am I going to cross a waypoint? Is this a vector to a final approach course? Am I expected to turn inbound? And shake that tree like you're looking for loose apples to fall off. What are you missing? What's in front of you? And that's a system that I teach all my instrument students. What's next? What's now? What's next? And what's after that?
Bay Flight 31, you're over Sapit, cleared RNAV, runway 30 approach, Half Moon Bay Airport.
Cleared RNAV 30, Half Moon Bay, Bay Flight 31.
Check out the instrument playlist for more on that. Huge thanks to you guys for watching. Congrats to Joe. Huge thanks to the sponsors. Remember that ForeFlight is the essential app for aviation. Online at foreflight.com. And when you renew your AOPA membership, you should select Pilot Protection Services. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that little alert bell so you get notified of uploads. Leave me a comment if there's a video you'd like to see, but most importantly, until next time, be safe and fly your best.